that, Mr. Speaker, the exchanges that we've had by in-laws just shows how stigmatized the matter of mental health is in this country. And it has taken a long time. This country only had Mathare as the only hospital dealing with mental health. And even Mathare is not well equipped to carry out this function. The issue that is being raised, Mr. Speaker, is so serious that I would request the committee looks at this as a need for all of us. It's a need for a service that is required for our children in schools. We have lots of suicides. It is a need that is required even for members of parliament. It is a need that is required for anybody. Mental health is about depression, is about other issues, and it is not a disease to be stigmatized. And I must say I was a bit disappointed at the little exchange we've had about people worrying whether a mental health hospital shouldn't be in their county or should not. Mr. Speaker, it is a serious issue, and we need the government to invest heavily in mental health care for all cadres, for all ages of people, and I would like to ask that the committee takes that seriously. On the issue of Lake Victoria, I'd like to thank Senator Beatrice, and I would wish to ask that the committee that will be looking at this issue should go further and require that the blue economy counties within Western Kenya, those around Lake Victoria, should actually be asked to come together and possibly come up with an inter-county arrangement that can help them, can see them work together and also have cooperation with the national government to ensure that Lake Victoria, which is a very important resource in this country, is taken care of. Lake Victoria is not just about the people and counties that live near Lake Victoria, but it's a national resource that we need to care for seriously. So I ask that the teams or the vision of the country on the blue economy looks beyond the Indian Ocean and looks at Lake Victoria and other lakes as well, and get the counties near these lakes to take responsibility and ensure that we care for these waters, including the rivers, so that we are able to secure this nation. I support, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Cheriot.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a very serious matter that you are canvassing. The statement by our colleague Senator Hamida Kibwana. Mr. Speaker, and I have listened to comments by colleagues on the need to properly place and advance the issue of mental health in our communities. Mr. Speaker, of course, I do note with concern the very comments made by our colleague Senator Catherine Muma, who maybe may misconstrue the exchange that we had earlier to think that we don't give this space the seriousness that it deserves. For her comfort, I'd wish to assure her that mental health matters. And as leaders, it's in our place actually to advance and advocate for its proper placing in society, ensure that we have facilities available for many of the victims that for one reason or the other suffer the unfortunate event of having mental health challenges in whatever format. I'd wish to challenge Senator Hamida Kibwana to take up the mantle that was left by our former colleague, Senator Sylvia Kasanga, a former colleague who distinguished herself during her tenure here in the Senate last term, speaking and reminding us on World Mental Health Awareness Day and pushing so many policies, many of which unfortunately haven't come to fruition, courtesy by way of motion. She had a bill on the same. And I'd wish that, apart just from the question that Senator Kibwana has brought, that this is a space that she takes keen interest in and lead us, perhaps in seeing ways in which we can help our various county governments to ensure. Because the truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, is that mental health facilities are in such scarce nature that we actually need them in each of our 47 counties. I have been, for example, Mr. Speaker, to Mathare Mental Hospital many times because I had a childhood friend who on many occasions will be admitted there, and each time I visited, you could see the want in terms of support that institution continues to suffer. Rundown with under-investment over the years, and that was maybe more than 10 years ago, maybe 20 even perhaps, Mr. Speaker. I can imagine how it looks now. And that perhaps is the only known institution publicly. You can imagine what people have to do in the far-flung counties that many of us come from, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, this is a conversation that we need to have around UHC as we move towards the realization of universal health coverage, Mr. Speaker, and its rollout in all the 47 counties. This is a time that we need to question and see, as I speak about the change in policy and the investments that need to be done in our various referral hospitals in our counties, Mr. Speaker, that at least some funds are set aside, and that there is training, that there are good facilities to take care of fellow Kenyans. This is something that I believe the Committee of Health, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Senator Hamida is a member of, can lead this Senate into pushing for that positive change from the Ministry of Health when they come to respond, so that we know what is a long-term plan, specifically for the country, but more importantly, for the individual counties that we represent in this House, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, I hope that can be done. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this chance.
Senator Faki.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii pia kuchangia statement mbili ambazo zimeletwa bungeni, moja ya Lake Victoria na nyingine ya matatizo ya akili, yani mental health na masuala ya madhara ya mental hospital. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikianzia hii ya pili ni kwamba ni kweli sasa imekuwa ni donda sugu matatizo ya afya ya akili, na utapata kwamba kama maseneta waliotangulia walivyosema ni kwamba vituo vya matibabu nafikiri katika Kenya viko viwili peke yake, Mathare na Potriz katika kaunti ya Mombasa, lakini hakuja kuwa na uwekezaji wa kutosha katika taasisi hizi, Mheshimiwa Spika, kiasi ambacho wengi wanaokwenda pale wanapata zaidi kuteseka kuliko kuangaliwa na madaktari ama wauguzi walioko katika hospitali zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, tatizo kubwa pia kuna unyanyapaa katika familia za wale ambao wameathirika, kwa sababu mtu ambaye ana akili punguani mara nyingi huwa hahusishwi kwa jambo lolote mpaka akiwa amekuwa ameanza kufanya fujo na kupigana, ndio anachukuliwa na kupelekwa hospitali, na hospitali akifika pia anaangushwa na hana matibabu ambayo anapata ya kisasa. Juzi Mheshimiwa Spika, nilibahatika kwenda katika hospitali ya Potriz, na ya kusikitisha ni kwamba mgonjwa wa akili akifika pale kwanza lazima alipe shilingi 10,000 ndio aweze kupokelewa na ahudumiwe. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hii kamati ya afya ningependa pia izuru hospitali ya Potriz, iangalie kwa makini ni vipi watu wale wanaangaliwa, kwa sababu matatizo ya akili sasa yameingia katika kila jamii katika watu wetu katika nchi ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile masuala ya mazingira ni muhimu sana. Kule Mombasa tumeona kwamba uchafuzi wa mazingira umeingia katika bahari ya Hindi sasa. Ukienda katika ufuo wa bahari, ukitoka kwa mfano Nyali Bridge ya zamani ukizunguka mpaka State House, utapata uchafuzi wa mazingira umekithiri sana. Utapata kwengine hata maji machafu ambayo yanatoka katika manyumba zetu yanaingia moja kwa moja katika bahari, ambapo inaharibu mazingara ya samaki kutaga na vile vile pia kuzaana. Vile vile pia wale samaki watakapovuliwa itakuwa si halali Mheshimiwa kuliwa na binadamu, kwa sababu tayari mazingira yao yamechafuzi. Utupaji wa plastiki na takataka nyingine ambazo kizungu anasema they are not biodegradable, inamaanisha kwamba samaki akila takataka zile, samaki akila takataka zile zikiingia katika mwili wake, baadaye tukila samaki wale utakuwa tunadhuru afya yetu. Ndio unapata kwamba visa vingi vya saratani ya mwili vinatokana na mazingira na kutumia vyakula vinavyoathiriwa na mazingira kama haya. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa pia kamati ile ya mazingira itakapokuwa inakalia swala hili pia wazuru Mombasa, kwa sababu yale machafuzi ambayo yanaendelea katika bahari ya Hindi, Mheshimiwa Spika, yanaathiri pakubwa uzalishaji wa samaki, inaathiri uvuvi na vile vile pia inaathiri maisha yetu sisi katika eneo la Pwani. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii.
Honorable Senators, we've expended quite some time on our comments, and therefore we will leave it at that and move to the statement that we had deferred, and Standing Order 52-1, and that is the statement by the Honorable Senator Enoch Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 52-1 to make a statement on a matter of county-wide and general topical concern, namely the missing link in the list of the Kenya Defense Forces recruitment centers in Kitui County. Mr. Speaker, sir, I applaud the KDF as it prepares to recruit servicemen and women to keep our borders safe. The list of the recruitment centers in all the 47 counties in Kenya is out. I wish our young people across the country well as they compete for the available slots. May the very best get the coveted opportunity to secure our borders. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've keenly gone through the list of recruitment centers in the great county of Kitui. In view of the sensitivity and importance attached to this national exercise, I have consulted widely on this list. My office has consulted the office of the Kitui County Commissioner, including the County Commissioner himself, Mr. Erastus Mbui, and the DCC in Mumoni Sub-County. I have personally, but unsuccessfully, attempted to get in touch with the Defense Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Aden Duale. I pray that he shall find time and reason to return my call. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a missing link in the list of recruitment centers in Kitui County. Mumoni Sub-County in Mwingi North constituency of Kitui County has been left out of the list. In this statement, Mr. Speaker, I am making a legitimate case for the residents, especially the youth of Mumoni Sub-County in Mwingi North constituency of Kitui County. For many years, Mr. Speaker, the youths of Mumoni have been recruited to join our National Disciplined Forces at Kase Primary School in Kase Town. But to the dismay of the residents of Kitui County, Mumoni Sub-County has been left out in the list of recruitment centers. Emotions are running high in the sub-county arising from the unfortunate omission. The Speaker, sir, I spent a greater part of my formative years as a child and youth in the army barracks when my father served in the then Kenya Army before he retired into the ministry of the gospel of Jesus Christ. I am a responsible leader and would be the last person to unnecessarily politicize the recruitment exercise by the KDF. The Speaker, in the year 2017, a new sub-county called the Tharaka-Thagishu was created, administratively hived off from Mumoni Sub-County. Before this new sub-county was created, which I seriously celebrate because I took a front role in pushing for it, the Raka ward was administratively under Mumoni North Division. In the list of recruitment centers, I fully support the inclusion of Nagani Recruitment Center for the Tharaka-Thagishu Sub-County. But to avoid visiting the same inequality on the people of Mumoni ward, which we cured for the people of Tharaka, I implore the KDF to quickly reconsider the list and include Kase Primary School as the recruitment center for Mumoni Sub-County. Mr. Speaker, the answer will show how consistent I have been in fighting for the issuance of a sub-county code for the Tharaka-Thagishu Sub-County. This was always guided by a strong conviction that the people of Tharaka, who have been marginalized for a long time, need to access government services closer
to home and not compete for opportunities with their brothers and sisters in Mumoni. The idea was to bring to an end the suffering visited on our people in the Raka ward as they seek national government services, including the upcoming KDF recruitment. The Speaker, requiring the youth from Mumoni and the Raka to compete for the same opportunities at Nthangani will be rendering the entire effort of creating a new sub-county an exercise in futility. Last year, the KDF recruited servicemen and women from both Nthangani and Kase, and this should be the natural thing to do. Mr. Speaker, I submit that merging the two recruitment centers denies the youth of Kitui County opportunities for recruitment to the KDF. The KDF slots available at the Nthangani Recruitment Center should be left for the youth of Tharaka to compete for. The youths of Mumoni should compete for their own KDF slots at Kase Primary School, as the tradition has been. The Speaker, for and on behalf of the eligible young people of Kitui County in general, and specifically the youths of Mumoni and Tharaka sub-counties, I do submit that the Kase Recruitment Center be reinstated and a date given for this year's KDF recruitment exercise in Kitui County. May our best youths in Tharaka, Mumoni, and all the recruitment centers in Kitui County and the country at large be successfully recruited to join the rank and file of the Kenya Defence Forces. It shall be well. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before we move to the statements pursuant to Standing Order 56-1, allow me to make the following communication. In the public gallery, we have 108 students accompanied by 7 teachers from Arap Moi Junior Secondary School, Kajiado County, who are in the Senate on an education tour. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will allow the Senator for Kajiado, the Honorable Seki, under 1 minute to welcome the delegation.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also take this opportunity to thank the teachers and the pupils of Arap Moi Primary School. The school is in Kajiado North, Ngoroi Ward in Kajiado County. And I want to thank you for you to choose the Senate as a learning institution. I believe you came on the right time. You've also seen quite a lot of activities in the Senate, and I'm very sure you will take quite a lot of knowledge back home. I want to invite you on behalf of my colleagues, the Speaker, and definitely we'll continue to interact down there at home. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, and God bless you as you go back home.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A statement relating to activities of the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrializations and Tourism, pursuant to Standing Order number 56-1B, for the period commencing 1st April 2023 to June 2023. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B on the statement standing order to make a statement on the activities activities of the Standing Committee on Trade, Industrialization and Tourism for the period commencing 1st April 2023 to 30th June 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee held a total of 21 meetings. Bills considered by the committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee considered the following bills: the County Licensing 2022 Uniform Procedure Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 9 of 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill seeks to establish standard uniform procedure for licensing by county governments. The bill mandates the national and county governments to adhere to the need to protect consumers, provide access to information on conditions for issuance of licenses, cost effectiveness in the licensing process, and effective of multiple licensing process. The committee processed the bill and tabled its report in the House on 12 April 2023. The bill is currently at the Committee of the Whole. B, the Startup Bill 2023, Senate Bill number 14 of 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bill seeks to provide a framework on encourage innovation and incentive the establishment of startup through incubation programs and streamline administrative mechanism to registrations and operations. The objective of the bill include, among others, the promotion and establishing environment for the establishment, development, conduct of business and regulations for startup. The committee proposed the bill and tabled its report in this House on 16th April 2023. The bill is currently at the Committee of the Whole. Legislative proposals, pre-publication scrutiny. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee undertook the pre-publication scrutiny in the following following two legislative proposals. One, the Street Vendors Protections and Livelihood Bill 2023, and the Price Control Essential Goods Amendment Bill 2023. The status of the two bills: on Tuesday, 16th May 2023, and the committee held a one-day retail to consider the two legislative proposals and approve them to proceed to publication. Petitions. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, one petition was reported on 30th May 2023 by Senator Wakili Hilary Sigei, MP, on the fraudulent dealings on Diageo East African Breweries Limited, Kenya Breweries, and UDV Kenya Limited. In consideration to the petition, the committee held engagement with the petitioner, Mr. Nicholas Rono, and the Chief Executive Officer of Capital Market Authority. Mr. Speaker, sir, the petition has requested the committee has requested the committee to allow the review of the prayers in the petition, to which the committee had agreed, in order to provide a holistic trail on the inherent gaps in the transactions and related mergers, acquisitions, and turnovers. The committee held a meeting with the Capital Market Authority to sustain the issues raised in the petitions regarding authority approval for the acquisitions and additional share of Diago. The committee has further scheduled a meeting with the Competition Authority of Kenya to address the competition issues raised in the petitions and meet with a group of managing directors, East African Breweries Limited, before it proceeds to write the report. County visits undertaken. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the following up on the emerging issues raised in the statement sought by Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, MP, regarding the status of the relocations notice of Dravell Farmers Cooperative Societies Limited in Machakos County, the committee undertook facts-finding visit in Dravell Farmers Cooperative Societies in Machakos County on 9th June 2023. Statement. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee considered 23 statements as follows. I will try to scale them into 3 concluded statements. A statement sought by Senator Alexander Munigi, MP, regarding the high...
What is your point of order, Senator Mazai?
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, ukiangalia tabia za wale maseneta wengine walioko hapa, ingekuwa vyema ikiwa tungetimiza zile kanuni za kudumu. Ukiangalia dada yangu Gloria, ametoka kule akaja akafika hapa katikati akapita tu namna hii. Badala kwenda kwa mlango, kwenda kuinama kidogo hivi, alafu aje upande huu mwingine ambao kulingana na taratibu zetu. Na jambo lingine pia vile vile dadangu Miraji amefanya kitendo kama hicho hapa mbele yetu. Kwa hiyo sijui kama walivyo kitendo walichokifanya wanaweza kuomba msamaha ama waweze kurejelea tena waende kisawasawa. Asante Bwana Spika.
Senator Miraj and Senator Gloria, you've now come of age. We have taken you through a lot of training, teachings of the standing order. You now know how to conduct yourselves when you're in this chamber. At this juncture, any breach of the standing orders will be deemed deliberate, and it will attract some kind of punishment. You all know that if you need to cross from one side of the house to the other, you walk all the way to the bar, bow to the chair, and join the other side. Senator Gloria, there is a time you did the same, and I reprimanded you. I did not send you out of the chamber. I'm going to use the same words. This house, unlike a chicken banda, you cannot just move freely. You move pursuant to our standing orders. So, Senator Gloria and Senator Miraj, I call you to order and I give you a first caution of the day. Proceed, Senator Sek.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. A statement sought by Senator Alexander Munyi Mudigi, MP, regarding the high cess levied on the Muguka cargo transporters in Mbeere, Embu County. The status of this statement, the statement was considered by the committee and finalized. The committee resolved to hold a workshop with County Executive Member CCM responsible for trade in the county of Mombasa, Nairobi, Garissa, and Embu to discuss levies charged in Muguka cargo transporters The committee has also scheduled a fact-finding visit to Embo County in the first quarter of the current financial year in order to interact with the affected transporters. Statement sought by Senator Mohammed Said Chute, MP, on the status of the management of museum heritage sites in Kenya. The statement, the committee held the a meeting on Tuesday, 20th May 2023, and consider the responses from the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Heritage regarding the statement. The committee identified various gaps in the response and to invite the chairperson of the National Museum of Kenya, who appraised the committee on the following supplementary issues: the relationship and status of collaborations between the national and county museums, list of gazetted museums before their devolutions and those that were handed over by the counties, measures taken to cooperate Marsabit County for the resources used to conserve the environment within which Mohammed the elephant lived, and whether the artifacts harmed the elephant can handed over by Marsabit County. It resolved that the National Museum of Kenya will facilitate the cost of Hamid and the elephant to be handed over to Marsabit County. The committee will undertake further engagement with the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee to handle the museum's functions on the benefits of the counties. The statement was concluded. The statement by Senator James Murango, MP, regarding the market of Kenyan produce in foreign countries. The status of the statement: the committee, by letter dated 13th April 2023, received responsible from the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Trade and Industrialization. Response was considered by the committee and the statement was concluded. The statement under considerations by the committee, Honorable Speaker, it's a statement.
Honorable Chair, you have 1 minute to go.
Okay. Okay, let me try to conclude. We have 5 statements that are still yet to be considered by the committee, and we have 12 statements yet to be that are waiting responses from the ministries. 7 responses from the Ministry of Cooperatives, 3 statements from the Ministry of Trade, and 2 statements from the Ministry of Tourism. Mr. Speaker, I wish to conclude by giving the challenges that we are facing as a committee. The main challenges experienced by the committee was non-responsiveness by the Cabinet Secretary with the specific references to the Cabinet Secretary for Ministry of Environment, of Investments, Trade and Industrialization, and the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Cooperatives and MSMEs, respectively. The committee, at its meeting held on Tuesday, 1st August 2023, resolved to write to the Cabinet Secretary to submit timely responses.
Honorable Chair, I'm going to allow you an extra minute to conclude.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. priorities and activities for the next quarter. Honorable Speaker, the committee is scheduled to consider the following business in the next quarter: to undertake the inspections, visit to engage the members of the Dramville Farmers Cooperative Societies in Machakos County, undertake an inspection visit to Mbeere, Embu County to engage with affected Muguka cargo transporters, further facilitate a conference to the CC County of Embu, Nairobi, Mombasa, to undertake a facts-finding visit to Busia and Malaba on stop border posts to evaluate the status of regional trade and Kenya-Uganda trade flow. To undertake also the international study visit on 22nd to 27th of August within the mandate of the committee. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, Chairperson of Trade and Industrialization Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Chairpersons, kindly note that any statements that are made pursuant to Part 12 of our standing orders can only be made within 10 minutes, unless with leave of the Speaker. So as you prepare your statements, please abide by that standing order. And if you feel you cannot, the 10 minutes are not adequate, then make prior arrangements to seek the Speaker's permission so that we don't have to do what we've just witnessed today. The Chairperson Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B to make a statement on activities of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing for the period commencing 1st April 2023 to 30th June 2023. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee held 17 sittings and 1 joint sitting with Standing Committee on Land, Environment and Natural Resources. Bills. The committee considered a legislative proposal on the Motorcycle Public Transport Service Bill 2023, which seeks to provide for the regulation of the boda industry, that was sponsored by Senator Dr. Boni Khalwale, CBS MP. The committee considered the proposal on 8th June 2023 and had an engagement with Senator Boni Khalwale on June 20th, 2023. The committee resolved that it be published with amendment that were agreed upon the sponsor and communicated to the Speaker on the decision for publication of the proposal with amendments on 11th July 2023. Mr. Speaker, it's good to note that our committee is so much aware of Standing Order 131, 1B, that no committee has veto power to kill anybody's bill. Bills are killed on the floor of the House, but not at the committee level. Mr. Speaker, petitions. 3 petitions have so far been referred to the committee and are at various stages of consideration as follows. Petition concerning public transport in Lake Victoria between Fangano Island in Suba Central Sub-County and Bita Homabay County. Mr. Speaker, we invited the petitioners. They appeared before us on 18th October 2022. Sorry, Mr. Speaker, we met the petitioner on Tuesday, 8th November 2022, where the committee was apprised on the challenges that the petitioners experienced as a result of lack of public ferry plying the Mbita-Mfangano route. We met the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Road and Transport, where he confirmed, where the committee was informed that Kenya Ports Authority had made a budgetary provision of Kenya shillings 300 million in the financial year 2022-2023 for acquisition of the ferry to ply in Lake Victoria, and another Kenya shillings 300 million in financial year 2023-2024 for acquisition of a second ferry. Mr. Speaker, The committee sought information on the status of acquisition of the 2 ferries to ply Lake Victoria route, and once the information is received, the committee will retreat to write a report in this month of August. Second petition. Petition concerning eviction and demolition of Buxton Estate, Mvita constituency in Mombasa County. The petition concerning eviction and demolition of the Buxton Estate, Mvita constituency in Mombasa County by former residents of Buxton Estate who were evicted and their houses demolished to pave way for redevelopment of the estate was committed to the committee on 1st March 2023. The committee has undertaken the following steps in consideration of the petition. We considered the petition on Tuesday, 7th March 2023, met petitioners on 15th March 2023, met the Governor of Mombasa and the developer of Buxton Estate on 24th March 2023, met the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Lands, Physical Planning and Housing on 20th May 2023. The committee has received submission from the County Government of Mombasa, the developer of the estate, State Department for Housing, and State Department for Lands. The committee is retreating this month to compile the final report. Number 3, the petition concerning access to title deeds for properties bought at Jamii Bora Estate, Kisaju, Kajiado County, committed to the committee on 14th March 2023. The committee has undertaken the following steps in considering the petition. Met petitioners on 4th May 2023, visited Jamii Bora Estate on 15th May 2023, met directors of Jamii Bora Charitable Trust on 18th May 2023 and 8th June 2023, met the management of Kingdom Bank on 22nd June 2023, and met the governor of Kajiado County. The committee has received submission and information from petitioners, Kajiado County Government, Business Registration Service, State Department for Lands and Physical Planning, and Kingdom Bank. The committee is considering the responses from the stakeholders and was not satisfied with the responses and sought further information. Mr. Speaker, petition number 4 concerning the construction of a pedestrian bridge at Chiromo. Mr. Speaker, we were not able to trace the petitioner of that petition, and the committee has, of course, received the response to the statement and will proceed to write a report in this month of August. Mr. Speaker, I have 23 statements, so I'll jump them. I have, of course, met so many senators who have appeared before the committee, and they have requested for supplementary information. That is the information we are waiting from the various departments. So those are 23 statements awaiting. Mr. Speaker, we also have one message from you that we were to sit down with the Lands Committee so that we can look at the petition that was brought by Nyandarua County Assembly. And we are in the process. We visited the roads in Nyandarua, and we are waiting for a report from NEMA. That is what we call Environmental Social Impact Assessment study. Once they bring that, Mr. Speaker, we are going to expedite. Finally, Mr. Speaker, if you can allow me 1 minute to read the recommendations. Challenges. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to highlight just a few challenges that the committee and members have experienced during the period under review as follows. The committee sought to invite one of the petitioners, as I said, to a meeting, but could not trace the petitioner as he did not submit his telephone or email contacts. In light of this, the committee recommends that Standing Order 232.3 be reviewed to make it mandatory that both email and or telephone contacts of the petitioners are provided as a requirement for approval of petitions. And number 2, Mr. Speaker, the conclusion of the statement before the committee has partly been delayed by the unavailability of senators who requested the statements when invited to appear before the committee for consideration of their statements. In order to avoid a backlog of business, the committee has since resolved to proceed to consider responses to statements even where these senators are unavailable. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Karongo Wadhangwa, the Miracle Senator of Kiambu. Thank you very much.
Chairperson Park. Chairperson Sessional Committee on County Public accounts.
Mr. Speaker, sir, pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B, I rise to make a statement on the activities of the County Public Accounts Committee for the period commencing 1st of April to 30th of June 2023. During the period under review, the committee held a total of 31 sittings in which it interrogated reports of the Auditor General on financial statements of 15 county executives and 11 county assemblies. And Mr. Speaker, the committee adopted 15 reports for county executives and 9 for county assemblies, and will be tabling them in the current session. Mr. Speaker, sir, during our deliberations, an issue arose regarding the potential conflict of interest where a sitting senator was a governor, chief executive officer, or accounting officer during the financial year of an entity appearing before the committee. Whereas Standing Order 219 allows a senator to attend the meeting of any select committee, the committee observed that the principle of nemo judex in causa sua required that no one should be a judge in their own cause. The committee, therefore, resolved that senators who find themselves in that situation would not be allowed to sit as friends of the committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, Nairobi City County Executive had evaded oversight by the Senate for a long period and had outstanding audit reports for 3 financial years. Mr. Speaker, the committee eventually invited the Nairobi City County government to review the audit reports for the financial years from 2017 to 2020 and made the following observations. Mr. Speaker, there were systemic challenges in collection of on-source revenue, and the committee requested the Auditor General to conduct a forensic audit of on-source revenue for Nairobi City County for 3 financial years and present its findings to the Senate within 3 months. And Mr. Speaker, the variances cited by the Auditor General were to the extent of close to 9 billion between the collections and the reports. Mr. Speaker, Nairobi City County also cited frustrations in accessing records maintained by the defunct Nairobi Metropolitan Service. The committee invited the State House Comptroller, who takes responsibility for the residual functions of NMS, and directed that systems access be granted to the county government. Mr. Speaker, the committee also directed the fast-tracking of the handover and requested the Auditor General to conduct a forensic audit on pending bills for the 3 financial years. Mr. Speaker, with respect to Nairobi, the committee resolved to conduct a public inquiry into colossal legal fees, government-to-government debts, especially those owing to LAP Fund and LAP Trust, and the committee also resolved to conduct a public inquiry into the 5 billion commercial bank loan that the county has failed to service, leading to huge interest and penalties. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee also took an interest in the unhealthy size and growth of wage bills in many of the counties. Consequently, the committee wrote to 7 counties, namely Kisii, Homa Bay, Nairobi, Nyamira, Nandi, Mombasa, and Garissa, to explain the measures they have taken to reduce their wage bill to the recommended 35% threshold. The committee has since invited Kisii County and given recommendations to ensure fiscal prudence. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee has seen an improvement in financial management in county assemblies. The main weakness across most assemblies relates to poor asset management. Majority of county assemblies do not possess titles to the land on which the assemblies sit, and the committee has recommended that the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee should assist assemblies to secure ownership of these assets, as well as those inherited from defunct council. Mr. Speaker, the Senate, through the County Allocation of Revenue Act, has over the years increased budgetary ceilings to county assemblies way above the recommended 7% threshold under the PFM Act. In some cases, assemblies have received as much as 13% of a county's revenue, while on the other hand, some assemblies still receive less than 7%, for example, Mombasa County Assembly. The committee recommends that the relevant committee undertakes a thorough analysis on the needs of county assemblies so as to ensure uniformity in allocations and compliance with the PFM Act. The committee also recommends the fast-tracking of legislative and administrative measures that will afford county assemblies financial autonomy. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee scheduled a visit to the Coast region for audit review and project inspection. The visit was postponed to early July where the committee interrogated audit reports for Mombasa and Tana River County executives. The committee also carried out physical inspection of the Mombasa Stadium and early childhood development centers that had been cited by the Auditor General for lack of value for money. The committee is grateful to Mombasa County Assembly for offering their chambers and hospitality for the meetings. Mr. Speaker, sir, pending bills continue to be a financial burden for most county governments. The committee shall convene a meeting in the next quarter with relevant entities, including the Office of the Auditor General, the Control of Budget, Council of Governors, the National Treasury, and the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, to define actionable measures to ensure the integrity and completeness of accounts payables across the counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is lack of uniformity in the accounting policies used in county entities. Whereas financial statements of county funds and corporations are prepared on accrual basis, those of county executives and assemblies are prepared on cash basis. This has made it impossible to obtain consolidated financial statements for county governments and has further amplified the problem of pending bills and returned county revenue fund issues. The stakeholders meeting proposed above will also come up with a timeline for all county entities to migrate to the accrual basis and for the preparation and audit of consolidated financial statements. In conclusion, I wish to thank the members of the committee and the dedicated secretariat that usually sits for long hours to ensure we reduce the backlog of audit reports. The committee will use various strategies, including subcommittees and merger of financial years, to shift to a more proactive mandate and to ensure the Senate is current in its interventions. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my Vice Chair, who has chaired various subcommittees and that has helped us to be up to date. I also want to, Senator Methu calls himself the Assistant Chairman of the committee, the same way he calls himself Assistant Majority Leader. But all members of the Public Accounts Committee have done an excellent job for us to be up to date. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, Honorable Senators, pursuant to Standing Order 56.3, I will allow comments for not more than 20 minutes. The Honorable Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, committee system is a very, very efficient way of processing matters in any house. And as you have seen, committees have done a commendable job. I have been listening very keenly to the reports presented by chairpersons. And clearly, Mr. Speaker, a lot is happening within the committees. But, Mr. Speaker, I am concerned that whereas committees are very useful in processing business that is then brought to the chamber for debate and for action, we have a challenge of budgetary constraint. We had a meeting of the liaison committee, and this matter came up, Mr. Speaker, and we are concerned that with the trend, we may not be able to perform our role effectively as committees. So this is a matter that Senate as a whole needs to look at it very critically so that we have budgets that will allow us to run committees efficiently. Mr. Speaker, even conducting public participation has become a problem. I know that several chairs have had to use their own resources to process some aspects of public participation. So, Mr. Speaker, as we commend our committees for the good work they have done, it is also important that we critically review this matter of the budgets which have been allocated to committees, because the committees will not be able to do any meetings outside this parliament because there is no money. So, Mr. Speaker, that is a concern that we all have as chairperson. Mr. Speaker, I also want to encourage the chairpersons of committees to strictly ensure that the provisions of Article 96 are adhered to, which is to protect counties, government and their interest. We are beginning to see clawback of the gains that we have made in devolution. We are beginning to see that attempts to even try to take some of the functions back to the national government. We have seen the issues of community health volunteers. We are even seeing issues to do around housing. So committees, regardless of which side of the political divide you are in, we must protect devolution. And we must adhere to Article 96 of the Constitution. So I want to encourage you, the chairpersons or the members of the committee, to ensure that is done. In my committee of public investment, we have made tremendous steps in addressing one of the major challenges in the county, that is the management of water resources under the water companies. This is a major issue which we are addressing, and I'm hoping that in the next audit cycle, we will have water entities that are efficiently managed in our counties. Otherwise, I want to commend the chairpersons, I want to commend the members of these committees for working extremely hard under the circumstances. But I want to encourage the Senate as a house to fight for its space, to fight for its budget, because at this rate, we will not be able to function well if we don't have adequate budget, and therefore means we will have less business to transact on this floor of the House, because the committee will die, and therefore there is no agenda to be processed in this House. So, Mr. Speaker, I hope that this issue of budget will be addressed with the finality that it should be addressed. I also want to commend the committee of Public Accounts Committee for the good work they are doing, which we as a committee of PIC, we are also following in your footsteps and ensuring that the governors or the officials who work under governors are accountable for the decisions they make, and the officers are also accountable for the decisions they make. And it is important that this House takes serious steps in ensuring that we ensure that financial management in our county is enhanced, so that we are able to protect the resources that we send to the counties. Mr. Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to further thank the committees for the good work they're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senate Majority Leader Aaron Cheriot.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this chance. Madam Speaker, you have given us this opportunity, 20 minutes, to listen and celebrate the work of our various committees. And we have listened to the reports of the Public Accounts Committee on the good work that they are doing, the Transport Committee, and the Trade and Investments Committee, Madam Speaker. And I'm impressed by the reports that have been brought by the chairpersons. When we began the campaign a few days ago, Mr. Speaker, we sounded like lonely voices when we said that chairpersons must read and perhaps reread Standing Order number 56, 1 and 2, to understand what this standing order provides, Madam Speaker, because we felt that the report that was being brought to the House was completely underwhelming. But I must commend, Madam Speaker, that later on, after the introduction, after that discussion, I see there's a change in how the reports are being presented before this House. They are more updated, Madam Speaker, and it's not just about quoting statistics. Some of them speaks to issues that are alive in society, that members of the public can identify and give us, Madam Speaker, the standing that we need as a House, because citizens of this country don't pay the amount of money that they pay to keep us in Nairobi so that we just enjoy a good AC in this building, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I'll take perhaps a short time, because I do appreciate that it's only 20 minutes allocated to all the senators, and therefore maybe each of us should do perhaps 2 or 3 minutes only and be able to compress our comments and thoughts on what has been said. Madam Speaker, the only thing that I noted is that, unfortunately, I think Senator Karungo Thangwa has left. You know, one of the questions that we said last week that each chairperson must ask themselves is, if you are to go to a public participation forum and say that I'm here on behalf of the Senate, I represent the Transport and Committee, what are the questions? Out of 5 questions that members of the public will ask you, what is likely to take the center stage? And I think any public meeting today on transport-related issues will not end. At least each of the 3 of the first 5 speakers, Madam Speaker, will speak on this topic of road safety. The fact that we continue to lose almost 5,000 Kenyans each and every year in a civilized society, that is completely unacceptable. The statistics continue to grow. As we build better roads, Madam Speaker, without changing our ways and without the government giving us a proper response on what is it that we can do so that we stop losing lives of our citizens on the road, Madam Speaker, is something that I expected this committee to tell us. And I hope, as they retreat to continue and carry on their duties, that they will update this House and the country on how specifically they are holding the National Transport and Safety Authority to account, together with their minister, so that we can reduce on that statistic, Madam Speaker. Each and every civilized country has succeeded by way of technology, road signages, and so many other things to bring down these statistics. It's only in the developing world, Kenya being one of them, that we continue to see this problem. And I have a strong feeling that more needs to be done. And I hope members of Transport and Committee who are here this afternoon, Mr. Speaker, are listening. And in the next quarter, as they do an update, they will tell us what measures have been put in place. Because I have seen policy pronouncements by Senator Murkomen, the CS for Transport. But as a House that is charged with the mandate of oversight, is to hold now this cabinet secretary to action. Compare what they say in public to what is actually happening, Madam Speaker, so that we know for sure that a lot is being done. Madam Speaker, I say this because you know that last month, the people of Kericho were visited with heavy tragedy when we lost more than 50 Kenyans in one go due to a traffic accident. And I hope that this committee, in honor of such victims and many other Kenyans that continue to lose their life through no fault of their own, just because we haven't been properly organized around the road safety topic, Madam Speaker, can feel that their government understands the challenges that they're going through. Finally, Madam Speaker, a very interesting case that the Trade and Investment Committee has presented to this House. You know, Madam Speaker, this must be the Senate or the Parliament that breaks new barriers in legislation. You know, one of the things I enjoy doing, Madam Speaker, is sometimes watching other parliaments and the kind of work that they do. I enjoyed in 2021, post-COVID, Madam Speaker, the trials that used to happen in the Senate of the US. And perhaps I took a particular interest on Senator Elizabeth Warren, taking on bank CEOs, specifically the Wells Fargo CEO, Madam Speaker, and you know the kind of exchange that they had, holding them to account on what they were doing to individual citizens during the COVID period and pre that time. And you remember at that particular time, the bank executives tried pleading the almighty quoted phrase by cooperatives, government should be able to protect investments. And he asked a question which we must ask ourselves, is it corporates that need protection or citizens that need protection from corporates, Madam Speaker, in this world, knowing the power and influence that certain corporations wield? Senator Seki read before this House a petition that was brought by a citizen on the operations of Diageo in Kenya. Madam Speaker, you will recall those that were in Parliament, I think maybe only Senator Boni Halwale was in Parliament at that time in 2003. The big debate that happened in the country when then Kenya Breweries Limited was being sold to international investors. There were fears. And what has happened if what the Kenyan what the petitioner that has brought that petition to this House is alleging is true, then the fears of Kenyans at that particular time have been confirmed. Kenya Breweries used to be a very successful company, had depots, had transportation facilities across the country, was employing more than 6,000 Kenyans, had a football club, so many things that you could celebrate, and all the profits remained in this particular country, Madam Speaker. That petition, as you...
Would you wish to be informed by Senator Khatib?
Yes, I don't mind, Madam Speaker.
Yes, I want to inform my colleague and majority leader that Kenya Breweries still supports Kenya Breweries Football Club. Thank you.
Madam Speaker, I'm not very sure how useful that information. Senator Faki will know that I personally have interest in one of the local football clubs. Unfortunately, we were relegated last season. But the Tusker FC of 2023 is nothing to write home about compared to Kenya Breweries Limited of the 90s. If you're a good fan of football, you know that, Madam Speaker. And therefore, not to lose my point, Madam Speaker, this petition challenges us as a house to look into the operations of big corporations that come into this country, pretend that they are investing, yet in the real sense, all they are doing is to strip the assets of big corporations that have been built by the sweat of Kenyans and repatriate the profits out of the country. There is nothing exceptional about brewing beer, Madam Speaker, that warrant other people or investors from other parts of the country or other parts of the globe to come and do the kind of things that we are reading about in that particular petition. Of course, I have listened, Madam Speaker, to the chair, mentioned that Capital Markets Authority appeared before us, and they are coming back once more time to look and respond to the questions that are being raised in that petition on the operations of East African Breweries Limited, non-competitive practices, ensuring that they shrink other players out of the market, and so many other things that are being alleged in that particular petition. That is a petition that many of us should follow, Madam Speaker, because there are many corporations that invest in this country and we feel happy about it, yet in the real sense, what they get vis-a-vis what Kenya as a country enjoys for hosting them and for providing them an opportunity to invest in this country, the two are not compatible, Madam Speaker. It is a well-known patriotic philosophy across countries nowadays, Madam Speaker, that even as you negotiate in trade deals, you look out first at your national interest vis-a-vis that of those that are investing in this country. Therefore, this is a petition that will be cleanly following, Madam Speaker, that is before this particular committee. With those many remarks, Madam Speaker, I support the reports that have been tabled and continue to keenly follow the work and the operations of our committees. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator. Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Of course, I am a proud member of two of the committees that have presented this afternoon. First, I want to congratulate the chair and members of the County Public Accounts Committee and the chair and members of the Roads and Transport and Housing Committee, of which I'm also a member. Madam Speaker, being a member of these two committees, I have to admit that I have learned a lot. We have a lot of challenges in our counties, and they have become apparent in those sessions that we have held with the Public Accounts Committee. There could be some challenges we face as committee in terms of our effectiveness to deliver real-time solutions to the problems facing our counties. And sometimes the argument is made that maybe the committee such as the Parliamentary Accounts Committee, the CPAC committee, is a mortician, that we deal with matters that are historic. But in my view, there are things that we have achieved in that committee that I want to point out that have made me extremely proud to be a member of that committee. The first one, Madam Speaker, was the question of KRA levying penalties on late releases or payments of the statutory deductions from county governments. I remember it was in a session of the Parliamentary Accounts Committee that we asked the rationale. I think it was in the presence of the leadership of the KRA and the Treasury, when we were asking what sense does it make for you to levy these penalties on late releases or payments of those statutory deductions, when we know that it is occasioned actually by late exchequer releases by the Treasury itself. I have seen the light go on. I don't understand why, because I don't think I've spoken nearly even 1 minute, and I saw my colleague here, the leader of majority. Perhaps, Madam Speaker, I can be given direction as to what time I have.
I think the light means 5 minutes. You have 5 minutes. I think it's the 20 minutes which were given to the comments section.
Madam Speaker, I think I was confused by the amount of time that the leader took. I guess it's because of his position in the Senate, but let me proceed. Yes, Madam Speaker, we have also been faced with the specter of pending bills before the committees, but I was happy that in front of that committee of PAC, the leadership of the former NMS, for instance, here in Nairobi, admitted that they were not going to load the 16 billion pending bills that were on the NMS books on the county government of Nairobi, that in fact that money was going to be paid from State House. So I can see that there are current issues that we have addressed in the PAC committee, and I feel very proud and privileged to be a member of that particular committee. We have also been trying to explain to the counties that we are actually friends and partners in the success of devolution, so that there doesn't need to be an adversarial relationship between this committee and the county governments themselves. Then from the roads, transport and housing, I was very happy when the committee visited the Mombasa County to discuss the question of the development or redevelopment of Buxton Estate. Because even here in Nairobi, we have many old city council estates that are earmarked for redevelopment. And because of the hue and cry in Buxton, we made a resolution as a committee that we would never allow what has happened in Buxton to allow in any other place in the Republic of Kenya. So we inserted ourselves as a committee, even in the current redevelopment plans in Nairobi, and I'm very happy that when I wrote as a senator of Nairobi to the committee chair, Honorable Thangwa, to look and take up the issues in the estates in Ofafa, Jericho, in Lumumba, and in California, action by the committee has led to the institutions that are responsible for these redevelopments, especially the county government of Nairobi, listening to these residents. And even as we speak today, I received a message from the chairman of Ofafa Jericho, Juan Mungonda, saying that they have now been invited formally to actually have a conversation with the county about the redevelopment of Jericho, which is a positive product of the engagements with the committee. I have attended those public participations. I have had Majority Leader allude to them. And it is clear that there is an effort that is being made, at least by the City County of Nairobi, to engage the residents, and I continue to laud the governor and his people for giving an opportunity to hear the residents who are going to be affected by these developments. Finally, Madam Speaker, on the question that my Majority Leader has spoken about on EABL, indeed the petition that has been brought regarding the issue of EABL is a matter that we should all take interest in. That I have had some of the submissions that have been made before the committee. As the chairman himself confirmed, the Capital Markets Authority appeared before that committee, and from the perspective of the Capital Markets Authority, there was no wrongdoing during the transfer of those shares. And it is also not something to be overlooked, my brother Majority Leader, that in fact this institution continues to provide Kenyans with a lot of employment opportunities. There are farmers in the western regions who are now growing sorghum and earning a living from what EABL and barley, so that we should find ways in which we can resolve issues that arise when companies such as these that are major employers in this country and that contribute to the economic development of this country have issues in a way that does not scare investors or vilify companies that are just trying to do business. As a regular consumer of the products of EABL myself, Madam Speaker, one of the problems that we face in this country is high taxation. In fact, if you speak to the management of EABL, they will tell you that just these last few months, the sales have gone down because many people can no longer afford this product. And even when, Madam Speaker, protect me, because I know there are Christian fundamentalists in the House. But the point that I am making is, even when we take the war on illicit alcohol to the villages, it is very critical that we do not send even those people who could afford the regular beer a few months back to now start pursuing or looking for this cheap illicit brew, because they can no longer afford to buy products such as those that are sold by EABL. Madam Speaker, even the sales going down means a reduction in the taxes that could otherwise have been collected from these particular products. And it has an effect on everyone and on everything. If a company does not have spare resources, for instance, if their profits go down, then even their involvement in social and community projects such as the Tusker FC and the EABL football club that Majority Leader was talking about reduces. It is not possible for you to spare money for some of these projects if you do not have sufficient sales and you're not making the sort of profits that you are making. Indeed, I recall the good old days when East Africa Breweries football team, they would come to Kakamega, where I grew up, to play a team called Motcom, which was the Ministry of Transport and Communications. And big as they were, we used to whip them majority leader. So the fact that the team is not performing as good as, as it did in the 90s does not necessarily mean that EABL is now a bad company.
Time up, Senator Sifuna. Senator Methu, you are either the Christian fundamentalist or a regular consumer like your colleague. To call out order number 8.
Order number 8, the Care and Protection of Child Parents Bill, Senate Bills number 29 of 2023, first reading. A bill for an act of parliament to provide a framework for the care and protection of child parents within the counties, to provide a framework through which an expectant girl child or a child parent may actualize their right to basic education, and at the same time ensure the care of their children and for connected purposes.
Order, what is your point of order? Senator Cherarige.
Madam Speaker, yesterday Senator Edio Cage stood on a point of order and requested that I table a letter that I had made about yesterday. So I was requesting to table because the Speaker had directed that I table this letter to indicate what I had made yesterday, Madam Speaker. So I was requesting to table so that that matter rests there.
You can proceed and table.
So, Madam Speaker, I beg to table the letter from the Ministry of Interior and National Administration.
I will look at the letter that is tabled and we will make a finding. What is your point of order, Senator Osotsi?
Madam Speaker, I think it will be right for the letter to be tabled when Senator Eddy is around, so that we can confirm the allegation that he made and whether that letter substantiates those allegations.
What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, there is nowhere that indicates that when a member is not in the House, because there is assumption that the member ears and eyes, and through Holy Spirit, they can follow what we are doing at the floor of the House. And in any case, there is an answer. So I don't know why Senator Otsosi wants to be mischievous by objecting my tabling of the letter, Madam Speaker, because there is no basis under the law, under the standing orders, Madam Speaker.
Senator Cherarige, now that I had already directed that you
Thank you,
table
Madam
the
Speaker.
letter.
Thank you.
The letter is before the floor of the House. We will look at it and give a finding as to whether it's sufficient. Next order, Clerk. Order number 9.
Order number 9, motion, adoption of the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the county government's equitable share cash disbursement schedule for the financial year 2023-2024 and approval of the county government's cash disbursement equitable share schedule for the financial year 2023-2024. Resumption of debate.
Senator Tabitha Mutinda, you had a balance of 58 minutes. We hope you can do it sooner than the 58 minutes. Yes. She had moved the motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as at yesterday, I had started tabling this motion, Madam Speaker, and as it is stated, Madam Speaker, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee of Finance and Budget on the cash disbursement schedule financial year 2023-2024, this is this financial year, laid on this table of the Senate on the 27th of July, and pursuant to section 17.7 of the PFM, Standing Order 189.3, the Senate approves the county government cash disbursement schedule for financial year 2023-2024. Madam Speaker, Article 202(1) of the Constitution provides that revenue raised nationally should be shared equitably among the national and the county governments. And so this is a requirement that is after the enactment of the DORA, pursuant to Article 218(1) of the Constitution. Following the enactment of DORA, Parliament is required to process the CARA pursuant to Article 218. And this is a bill that its mandate is to share revenue, to share monies to the 47 counties. Madam Speaker, this is a very important point of this Senate. This is one of our key roles as Senate, whereby we ensure that counties get their money on time, because as a finance committee, we ensure that we pass these bills on time and also ensure that this schedule is also tabled to this House on time. Let me state that, Madam Speaker, in the allocation of these funds, there are different parameters and indexes that are used so as to allocate funds to the different counties. They are based on different parameters, and some of these indexes range from the Agricultural Services Index, which is about 10%. There's the equal share at 20%. We have the urban services, 5%, health services at 17%, other county and population matters at 18%, land space at 8%, and road index 8%, and the poverty index at 14%. These are some of the parameters that we use at finance to be able to determine the different allocations for the different counties, because different counties receive different allocations, and these are based on the different parameters that I've actually been able to mention. Madam Speaker, once CARA has been ascended, and it was ascended by the President, now the National Treasury, pursuant to Article Section 17.6 and 7 of the PFM Act 2012, it's required that we prepare and submit to this House the equitable share disbursement schedule, which, as I table this report, Madam Speaker, I want to note that the schedule is in place. It is signed by the CS Treasury, Professor Ndongo, so it is part of this report that I'm tabling, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Section 17.6 of the PFM Act provides that Treasury, at the beginning of every month, that is not later than 15th of every month, money shall be dispersed to the county government. So this schedule, Madam Speaker, it's a schedule of how much is going to be dispersed to each county each and every month of the year. And the disbursement schedule provides what is also expected to be dispersed to each and every county. The calculation and the tabulation has been done. This is from the what we passed in DORA, that is the 385.425 billion. And the schedule, Madam Speaker, stipulates the amount of monies or sum of monies that shall be dispersed each and every month. Case example, Madam Speaker, you find that Nairobi County is going to receive, this financial is going to receive over 20 billion. And each calculation has been done for each and every month how much the funding will be. This helps the counties be able to plan, be able to do budgets depending on the funds that they're supposed to receive every quarter of every year. These funds, Madam Speaker, move from the consolidated fund to what we call the CRF accounts for the different counties. And this helps the different counties to be able to deliver their services to the citizens as they've promised, or if they've done their public participation, they are able to budget depending on what they are going to receive. And this is one of the key schedules that really helps them to be able to set their budgets very, very correctly. The schedule operationalization ensures implementation of Article 219 of the Constitution, Madam Speaker, which provides that county equitable share shall be transferred to the counties without undue delay. Yes, Madam Speaker, we've at times experienced delays by National Treasury, delaying funds to the county governments. And this is something that we've noted, but I'm happy because as we speak, all funds for financial year 2022-2023 have fully been dispersed to the county. The last one was just last week when I witnessed with the PS Kipto when they dispersed the final batch of 32 billion. Something that we also applaud Kenya Kwanza because in our manifesto, Madam Speaker, this was one of the key goals to ensure that counties receive their monies on time. So this schedule, Madam Speaker, is very key to the counties because it is in this that with this approval by this House, then the counties will be able to plan better and be able also to receive. And also it gives the opportunity the National Treasury to be able to disperse the funds on time, because if we also do not, if we delay this passage, then it also delays funding to the different counties. Madam Speaker, following the enactment of the County Allocation Revenue Act, number 8, 2023, which provided individual county allocations for financial year 23-24, National Treasury submitted the cash disbursement to the Senate on the 6th of July 2023 for consideration and approval. The schedule, as I've stated, was tabled on the House on 18th of July 23 and committed to our committee, the Committee of Finance and Budget, pursuant still to Standing Order 189-2, Madam Speaker. In the preparation of the disbursement schedule, National Treasury has informed us that it is a schedule that is an annual schedule. Each county allocation for the financial year 23-24, which spreads across the 12 months of the year. And these 12 months begin, Madam Speaker, from every 15th of July. Like this one for this financial year begins from 15th of July to 15th of June. But you know that disbursements are normally quarterly, so the expected disbursement should be, for this financial year, should be in September. Madam Speaker, it's good to note that this financial year, the total, as I've said earlier, the total amount that we passed during DORA, the 385.425, is what is undergoing has undergone the schedule, is what has been distributed for the different 47 counties, with the different parameters that we've stated below. And I want to know, the House to note, Madam Speaker, that the parameters, the percentages that I've just stated are the percentages for financial year 2019-2020, because the law says that that is what should be used within the 5 years. So we are looking at 2024, whereby we are, as a committee, are going to come up and set new formulas that we're going to determine different amounts of funds for the different counties, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I've stated in terms of the duration, by every 15th of every month, you find that the allocation of these funds are dispersed to the counties. It is also good to note that the total amount per every disbursement, Madam Speaker, per month amounts to about 32.1 billion monthly, because it's calculated at around 8%. But in the final part, we look at a calculation of 9% of the total allocation, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in the consideration of the disbursement schedule, us as a committee, and I really want to thank my committee members. Finance Committee is one of the committee that is actually very, very busy, Madam Speaker. We really have so many bills, and as you can see, I appreciate the House because they are always prioritized. Because our key mandate is to ensure that counties have funds and are able also to receive their funds on time. So Finance Committee is a very, very busy committee, Madam Speaker. We also are guided by the timelines of each and every bill that we bring aboard to this House, because those timeline factors, if not then considered, then we find that we are not following or abiding to the timelines of the Constitution. So I want to really thank my members of the committee. because they've been very, very committed, led by my whip leader, Senator Boni Alwale, Senator Onyonka, Senator Faki, Senator Shakila, Senator Eddie, not forgetting the Honorable Chair, Senator Ali Roba, and of course the other members, Joyce Coril, Senator my namesake Tabitha Keroche, been very, very committed to ensure that we commit to ensuring that timely response of these bills has been put in place. The stakeholders that work with us in these committees, one of them is the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, the Office of the Ministry of Treasury. We also have the CRA. They've been very, very active in ensuring that during the tabling of any of the bills at Finance and Budget, we really have their inputs. I can't forget the input of the COG, led by their chair, none other than the governor of Kakamega, Honorable Baraza, his deputy, and the other member, I remember Governor Simba. They've been very active to support in this committee. Something that we really do appreciate. The secretariat that we have, Madam Speaker, is key on point on all that needs to be done to ensure that we are able to table our bills on time. We are able to have the right schedules on time. We really applaud them. But I want to note, Madam Speaker, in the implementation and in the whole process of these schedules, you find that we also observe as a committee a few things, and I would want to say that one of the observations is that there's a very big need to be able to align the timeline for the submission of the cash disbursement to the passage and the assent of the county allocation revenue bill. Article 219. Madam Speaker, I can hear too much noise, and I would want to concentrate when I'm talking about funds.
Could the Honorable Senator be heard in silence, please? Proceed, Senator Tabitha.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. And as I've said, this is a
Senator Cheptum was the one driving that noise. Now it has dissipated.
Much appreciated, Senator. Madam Speaker. And as I stated earlier, this is our very key important mandate as a Senate, where we talk about how much have we given to counties. Then at the same time, we oversight in regards to what services have also been rendered. Are these funds used correctly? It is in this house, as I've said, this report also is attached to the schedule for all the 47 counties. And I've given my example with my county like Nairobi, whereby we are receiving over 20 billion in this financial year, 2023-2024. I would urge all members, all the elected 47 county senators, to be able to be familiar with the funds or the amount of figures that they are going to receive in their respective counties, so that when they go down to mashinani, then they can be able to observe, are the projects that the citizens have requested for, are they worth? Are the budgets that have been passed, are they within what the schedules that we've passed? Because we have the schedule is available. It will be prudent, it will be very wise and very important for them to understand how much is being issued to their different counties. Let me go back to the issues that I'd said we had observed as a committee, Madam Speaker, and I'd stated in regards to the timeline of when we are supposed to bring the cash disbursement schedule to the House, and stated that there is need to align the timeline for the submission of the cash disbursement schedule to the passage and assent of the County Allocation Revenue Bill. Article 218(1)(b) of the Constitution requires that introduction in Parliament of the County Allocation Revenue Bill should be done by every 30th April of every year. Once enacted, Madam Speaker, the Act informs that the preparation of now the cash disbursement schedule, which is now what we have actually done, follows, and hence, if the approval of CARA delays, then the cash disbursement schedule cannot be prepared, Madam Speaker, cannot be submitted, Madam Speaker, cannot be approved. Hence, and finally, cannot also be published in the Kenya Gazette by 30th of May. What does this then say? Then this says and indicates that then the county governments will not be able to receive their funding on time. then hence delay. That delay, Madam Speaker, trickles down to the citizens who are waiting to enjoy the services and of the devolved government that we really are enjoying being in. So the timeline factor is something that we've observed as a committee. In regards to the disbursement of funds to the CRF accounts, County Revenue Funds account, National Treasury also, most of the time, has really failed to adhere to the approved cash disbursement schedule. And this has also caused big timely delays. And this is definitely against the law. So, and that's why we feel that as a committee, then we will be looking at, again, the PFM Act, making some adjustments, but as far as the timelines are concerned, so that National Treasury can be able to have humble time and good time to be able to publish and table like the schedules on time, so that now even the disbursement can be also timely. Because as I've stated earlier, Madam Speaker, different programs, different projects of the counties then delay. You had some time back when the governors and the different county assembly had put warning of going on strike, and simply because of the delay on the disbursement of funds. As much as a committee, Madam Speaker, I want to state that as a finance committee, we've really encouraged governors. We continue to encourage county governments to maximize on what we call on-source revenue. These are areas that we feel that they have not really been tapped so much by the county governments. And if emphasis is also put by us, the senators, who oversight them, apart from them waiting for the 385 billion, they need to also ensure that they maximize their collections within their different counties. As a committee, we also note delay of projects that have started, Madam Speaker, and projects that are stalled, or projects that are in place as infrastructure, but they are not operational, Madam Speaker, because the equipment that are supposed to be in these institutions, case example, some of them are like hospitals. In Nairobi, you find that NMS did put hospitals, but they're not functioning because the other facilities, the other equipment that are needed to be in that infrastructure are not in place, Madam Speaker. So the disbursement of the funds, the whole ideology of funds at the county governments is very, very key at all the time in this house. Madam Speaker, having considered this cash disbursement schedule, the committee has also made a few recommendations, Madam Speaker, and one of them is that the Senate approves that the county governments, that is equitable share cash disbursement schedule for financial year, be tabled, which is what we are on right now. And also the disbursement of the funds to the counties, the National Treasury should adhere to the approved cash disbursement and adhere to Article 219. Yes, I want to applaud National Treasury. Last week, they were on time and were able to disburse the funds on time. We will ask them, Madam Speaker, that they ensure that it was not just the final figures that they've issued for the last financial year, this 2023-2022, but to have the same kickstart for financial year 23-24 and to progress on the same, because we are very optimistic as a finance committee. We are always meeting with the finance minister, and they are very optimistic in terms of their tax collection, revenue collection. They are looking at even surpassing, because right now they've shared that they are at past 95%. So they are looking at even surpassing that. So if that is going then to be surpassed, we expect that counties would be able to receive their funding, their monies on time, so as to be able to execute all their plans, all their projects, all their budgets. But for emphasis, Madam Speaker, so much is whereby we've seen the issue of pending bills. Issue of pending bills that has been brought about by the narrative of no funds, the Treasury has not been able to disburse funds. But that is why that the governors should note that the reason that this schedule is in place, and equally to the senators of all the counties, that the reason they need to inform and share these schedules is because the county assemblies and the governors, they need to plan with the funds that they are going to be able to receive, or they are going to project to be able to collect. But they cannot keep on having the pending bills in place. Then planning was a problem. Planning was not well put. Yet these schedules are public. for them to be able to see, to be able to plan well. We need to get out of the pending bills issue, Madam Speaker, because if as a committee, if as a house, we have been able to share and indicated that this is what is in place. Madam Speaker, there's no way, you know very well, your salary is amount X. And Madam Speaker, you want to spend X squared. It can't work out. You need to be able to plan with the X figure that you know is within your mandate. So this issue of pending bills is something that as a committee, Madam Speaker, just to state that we are asking, and we are going to set an example with the county government of Kisii, that we are going to receive all the amount of pending bills. We are even going to have an open forum and get to talk to the service providers who for years they have not been paid. And as we speak, Madam Speaker, right now, and I've stated that the Treasury has dispersed the final funds for the county government, Madam Speaker. So,
Senator Tabitha, hold your thoughts there. I have a communication to make. Okay, then you proceed. Honorable Senators, I have a communication on visiting students and teachers from Baltabwa Day and Boarding Primary School. And I would like to acknowledge their presence in the public gallery this afternoon. Visiting teachers and students from Baltabwa Day and Boarding Primary School. The group comprises 7 teachers and 62 students who are in the Senate for a one-day academic exposition. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and on my own behalf, wish them a fruitful visit. I will now welcome Senator Cheptumo to welcome the team.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me to welcome the pupils and the teachers from Baltabwa Day and Boarding Primary School to Senate. Madam Speaker, this is a house that continues to receive students and pupils from various secondary schools and primary schools in our country. And it gives them an opportunity, Madam Speaker, to see what their leaders do. They watch live debates under your leadership, Madam Speaker, today. And I would like to really thank the teachers for planning to bring the students to this house, and to also welcome the pupils to this Senate. Madam Speaker, let me say that this is the school I went to. I did my CPE in that school. So, Madam Speaker, it's a special day for me. It's also a school which is in my village. So I'm really, really happy to have them here. And all I want to tell them, Madam Speaker, is that they all need to work very hard. They need to be focused. They need to be resilient with their studies. And from that village, where you know you can come all the way, Madam Speaker, the parents of these students and the teachers voted me for 3 terms consecutively. I can confirm they supported me all through. And even when again I went before them now to be elected a senator again, they gave me a chance. And so, Madam Speaker, it is really a great honor for me to receive them in this house. And I want to wish them well as they go back home. Go back home knowing that the sky is the limit. You can be what you want to be. And if you get determined and resilient in your studies, discipline, you can one day, one time, be in this position which we are. I want to also appreciate the girls. And you see the person chairing the Senate is Senator Veronica Maina. It is possible for our girls to even one day sit at the chair now, which is being done by our speaker today. So I want to wish you well as you go back home, take my greetings, but of course I will have a moment with you outside here. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for this moment.
Thank you very much, Senator Cheptumo. Senator Boni Halwale, can you welcome the students? They come from a special zone. Have you gone through some difficulties with security?
Oh, okay. That's a big honor. I've never been to that school, madam, but unlike many of you who are struggling to have children, I want to speak on behalf of people who have children. The children will love you very much. Welcome to Senate.
What is your point of order, Senator Cherariki?
Madam Speaker, did you listen to what Senator Boni Halwale, I right understanding on the number 98 and 105? Did you listen to what Senator Boni Halwale said?
Which specific? I've heard
Does he
many
have
things.
facts to say those people who have children do not have? Can he substantiate, Madam Speaker? Because
Honorable
how
Senator.
sure does he, it is creating improper motive that people who do not have children, you can fail to have biological children, but you can be a foster parent, Madam
That
Speaker.
is very true.
Yes, it is.
Honorable
And you know,
Senator
Madam
Boni.
Speaker, finally, on that note, I have had relatives who have not been blessed to have children. And it is a very sensitive issue, Madam Speaker. Can he refresh what he's saying as our leader? I know his prowess is known beyond the Luya land with a number of
Senator,
children across.
thank
I'm
you.
told, Mr. Speaker, even he doesn't, every examination here, Boni Halwale must have a child doing an exam, which is a good thing.
Senator Cherariki, point well noted. Senator Boni, proceed and make sure you address that point appropriately.
Thank you, Speaker. Honorable Speaker, Senator Cherariki never ceases to amaze. He's now misleading the country that every year I never miss to have a child. Mr. Speaker, he should come for accurate facts when he wants to talk about it. If you wanted to talk about it, you should have said that, and in some of the years, I have more than one child. Because I have the gene of twinning, Madam Speaker. And I am so proud of it. Madam Speaker, these children who are here, they have parents behind there. And as we congratulate them, this is a momentous occasion for them to come to the Senate. How I wish that these children would all succeed. There's nothing greater for a woman, for a man, than to see your own child succeed. Madam Speaker, today I had an occasion. I met a parent accompanied by her daughter. This daughter studies in London, Madam Speaker. And this daughter has been away for almost a year. When the mother was introducing the daughter to me, Madam Speaker, I saw tears in the eyes of the woman because I've been intimidating this woman elsewhere that you don't have children. So children are a very good thing. My dear children, boys and girls, welcome. Teachers, take care of our children. And please, no drugs, no alcohol. Leave alcohol for athletes and adults like us.
Thank you, Senator Boni. Senator Tabitha, you can resume the floor.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, I'm just happy on how the two leaders have really given warmth to our children, and also as a mother, I'm very proud of them, and I continue encouraging them that if I'm here, you can also be here. It's not limited to anybody, this space. It's open to anybody, to any Kenyan. So as I conclude, Madam Speaker, I was just discussing on the issue of the pending bills, an issue that is very rampant, is very high in all and most of the counties actually that are in place. But Just to say that with these schedules in place, then the county should be able to plan better. We encourage the governors and the county assemblies to have proper budget guided by the schedules. I also ask, as I conclude, that my colleague senators to be able to get to understand the figures, the schedules, the amounts that have been allocated each and every month for each and every county, so that the plannings can be well and very much put in place. And so, as I've said earlier, I really appreciate all my members so much, the secretariat led by the clerk Gitonga, there's Beverly, there's the legal team, Lucy, Makina, and all the other teams that are in place for finance and budget committee. At this time, Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request my colleague, Senator Leader Whip, Senator Boni Alwale, to second. Thank you.
Senator Boni. Thank you, Senator Tabitha.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to second this motion as moved by my Vice Chair. I will not have too much to add because she has said everything. The only thing I want to emphasize, Madam Speaker, is that I couldn't agree with the Vice Chair even more. That as senators, we need to own the figures. When you go to public function and you tell the people of Kisii County that Senator Simba Aradi, I have given this much money, and you speak to the millions, speak to the speak to the billions, you speak to the millions, speak to the thousands, and up to the last shilling, Simba Arati realizes that there is a sheriff in town. Madam Speaker, we also as senators need to encourage ourselves that we should quickly go before our county assemblies and also tell them about the arrival of this money. Because there are many times governors have given MCAs the impression that money is hard to come from Nairobi. Living by our mantra of bottom-up, we have lived to it. We have released money to all the governors. But with this schedule still here, it's not easy for the central bank to now make the money to its accounts. I would like my statement to prick my colleagues from Azimio. If you go to the report of the control of budget, Senator Bitches, they have itemized the performance of our counties from the time of their last election. And they have indicated how much money each governor is collecting as own source. Sadly, the top counties, and with due respect, are Kenya Kwanza counties. The top. Murang'a is there, Kirinyaga is there, Bungoma is there, name it. But the Azimio counties, in this last month, I would like you to familiarize with this because this is painful. They are indicating a drop. It doesn't mean that Mama Mboga, when she's selling her vegetables, the mama who is selling fish is not paying taxes. They are paying, but these guys don't declare. So if we don't put pressure at them, they'll cheat you that, oh, Kakamega has raised 2 billion shillings, when in fact it has the capacity to raise 6 billion shillings. If you go to Kisii County, very enterprising people. Those thousands of people you see in Kisii town at the marketplace and other centers, they pay taxes. So if we don't put pressure, the governors just share that money in the evening as they go home. We have a job to do. And governors, because of the misery of poor remuneration of our MCS, Madam Speaker, they take advantage of them. So our MCS are not able to oversight them strongly. we need to give them the proper backup. Having said that, may I inform the people of Kakamega that we are very lucky that this year the governor is going to spend 17 billion, 370 million, 287,053 shillings. He has no excuse. We expect the governor of Kakamega to hit the road running, to ensure that stalled projects, Mumiasi Hospital, Butere Hospital, Nambacha Market, Malinya Market, Khaega Market, Shiamahubu Hospital, they should be completed quickly together with Bukhongo Stadium because the money is there in billions of shillings. Madam Speaker, this applies across the board, and therefore we have every reason to insist that they perform. Finally, but not least, I, at the risk of anticipating debate, my vice chair is not here. There's a bill I have seen which has come through the National Assembly. It's looking for our concurrence. Colleagues, it is trying to shift public debt from being benchmarked on debt ceiling to anchoring so that the debt is a percentage of the GDP, which is the modern way of doing things. But why it is worrying me, colleagues, is that I've seen a clause there which has now been approved if we agree. They are saying that whereas it should be anticipated to be at 55% and the cabinet secretary can be allowed to borrow at not more than 5%, they are saying that for 5 years, this clause should be suspended. So if you pass a law to create debt anchor, and then you suspend the clause that is supposed to be implemented, it means you're giving the cabinet secretary an open check to borrow as they wish. You know, this house is supposed to protect the president also. When Anglo-leasing happened in this country, Moi, as president, thought all was well. Not Anglo-leasing, Goldenberg. Moi thought all was well. Had Parliament of that time protected President Moi, Kamlesh Patni would not have run away with those billions of shillings. Similarly, when Anglo-leasing took place, Kibaki thought all was well. So as President Ruto works very hard, we must, as Parliament, remind them that some of the decisions being made by the Treasury, we got to be cautious. My brothers and sisters, we are building a country. The children have just left the gallery. So if we don't grow the economy so that those children are better off, it means all of them will just find themselves in the streets, jobless, the way today we have 4 million children on the streets, and yet they are holders of degrees, diplomas, and certificates because our economy is not growing. Thank you so much. I second the motion.
Honorable Senators, I propose the question that the Senate adopts the reports of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the county government's equitable share cash disbursement schedule for financial year 2023-2024, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 27 July 2023, and that pursuant to Section 17(7) of the Public Finance Management Act and Standing Order 189.3, the Senate approves the county government's equitable share cash disbursement schedule for financial year 2023-2024. Senator Sigei Wakili.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I rise to support the motion, and I want to begin by appreciating the Vice Chair of the committee for elaborately taking us through the motion and also the seconder of the motion, Honorable Senator Boni Halwale. Madam Speaker, devolution is the heart of service delivery to the people of Kenya. It is indeed the one that ensures that the lowest level of leadership in this country feels the service delivery by the government of the day. We can only then support that devolution by making sure that resources are availed to the county governments. This disbursement schedule, Madam Speaker, ensures that the resources which have been shared by all the county governments indeed are disbursed for their utilization. And I would like to support the disbursement schedule that has been shared. And in this motion, Madam Speaker, we have been notified that indeed, if and when it is fully complied with, there will be facilitation of service delivery by all the county governments, and they'll have no excuse at all as to any delay in the service delivery. Madam Speaker, county governments are able to execute on their mandates when funds are made available. These funds can only be available when this schedule has been adopted and the national government ensures that the same is fully complied for the period that it is aimed at. Madam Speaker, cash disbursement also, in terms of this particular schedule, enables the county governments to be able to predict and plan on the services that they have for their people. In this case, Madam Speaker, I would expect, therefore, that we will not be having the long list of pending bills that we have been witnessing across almost all the counties. Each and every county previously has been sending out list of pending bills, not because of anything but funds which have been allocated but not yet disbursed. With this particular schedule, and with, of course, the latest experience and the pronouncement that was made that all the funds to all the county governments were disbursed, is going to ensure that no county government, and it should actually indeed be that no county government should exhibit any pending bill because there is no funds which are still being held once the schedule is approved. Madam Speaker, we definitely also don't expect to experience the delayed salaries in a good number of counties where employees, both from the county government and also those serving under the employees of the county government, do not get their salaries paid, for the reason that once these disbursements are made available, definitely, Madam Speaker, there will be no reason why service delivery cannot be felt across all the counties. The role of this particular house, Madam Speaker, is to ensure that the devolution works. And once we are able to do the oversight that we are expected to do, the services to the people will definitely be seen, it will be felt. And Madam Speaker, I noticed that in the schedule that has been given, all the county governments have been given the specific benefits that they are going to get in the funds. And in this case, Madam Speaker, the parameters equally for this particular disbursement is given. We're talking about agriculture at 10%, equalization fund at 20%. It therefore means that all the services which each county government is expected to deliver for the people will not be limited because of failure to have the disbursements. In this case, Madam Speaker, the county government that I represent, the county government of Bomet, has got an allocation of 6.9 billion for the financial year 2023-2024, with disbursements scattered for the months beginning July 593, August 558, September 593, that is in millions, Madam Speaker, 558, 593, and 558, that is for the month of December. We definitely, therefore, Madam Speaker, expect, as the Honorable Senator Boni Halwale said, there will be no excuse, and there should be no excuse by any other governor or any county government for their failure to deliver to the people on the services which have already been given the funds. In this case, Madam Speaker, the entire county government, therefore, machinery should be able to run and roll out the services to their people. And we call upon also the members of county assemblies, who in this case are the first port of call for purposes of ensuring that services to the people are delivered. This is an opportunity for them to ensure that the executive and the county government do not raise any excuses to their inability to ensure that roads are done. Hospitals are also supplied with medicine and any other service that is devolved, particularly in every other sector, should be able to be delivered to the people of the country. And Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I would like to appreciate the committee for their immediate submission of this motion, because having passed the CARA, this is the opportunity then for the county governments to ensure that they receive the disbursements in their accounts for the services to the people of our respective counties. I, therefore, Madam Speaker, support, as I thank you for the opportunity.
Senator Richard Momoima Onyonka.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. For me to contribute on this very important issue, Mr. Speaker, the first thing I want to do is actually thank my chair, Honorable Roba, and thank my vice chair, Madam Thabita, who have been two individuals who have been extremely hardworking, and they have really tried to summon us when we are late. They have always consulted us. They have always talked and told us about the responsibility we've been holding. Madam Speaker, as I'm contributing to the issue of the disbursement schedule that is being done by the Budget Committee where I sit, and honestly, the way the Vice Chair spoke, the truth is that we've really been burning the midnight oil to make sure that these reports are completed on time so that we can try and present our schedule so that then devolution doesn't collapse. Madam Speaker, one of the things I wanted to discuss and raise is that, number one, I am happy that most of the committees now, after 10 years of devolution, are beginning to understand the responsibility of us making sure that our major role, Madam Speaker, is to have our committees act, or indeed the Senate act as a secondary oversight role in making sure that we follow up on the amounts of money that the national government is supposed to release to the county governments. And then we are supposed to, again, follow up to the primary oversight authority, and that is the county assembly, to make sure that any resources they get are used and channeled directly to the county governments that we represent. My major responsibility, Mr. Speaker, has been to follow up, to do my job, accept what my mandate is and my responsibility. That mandate is to act as the oversight officer, make sure follow up on the detailing, which I believe the Kenyan public is listening, and that is how is this money released, where does it go, and how it's spent. To a large extent, Mr. Speaker, what normally happens is that there is confusion which is created deliberately, and I think we have had some of our colleagues here mention that it is very common and very obvious when you see some governors talking and saying how money has not been released by the government, and in fact, the government is the one which is not paying salaries. And Mr. Speaker, I've been telling my colleagues in the opposition where we belong that at some point, when a government in office, and even when the opposition party participates in doing something that is appreciated, we should give them credit. I actually would like to officially give credit to the KK government because of the fact that for the first time, all the money that is supposed to go to the county government has been released. That is what we would want to encourage the government to do, because this money being released is not supposed to be done as a punishment. It is supposed to be done because, one, it is constitutional. Number two, that the government, the national government's responsibility, and indeed for this case, the KK government's responsibility is to make sure that our money is released and it's taken to the county governments where it's supposed to mitigate the issues which are affecting our people. Mr. Speaker, one of the second issue that I've discovered since coming to the Senate, and indeed being in this committee and many of the other committees that I sit, because I sit in the CPAR committee, I sit in the budget committee, which we are talking about now, and I also sit in the devolution committee. The experience I've learned has been quite amazing. Number one, I have understood that unless we protect devolution fiercely, there's a possibility that even by default, not by design, even by default, devolution can actually fail. What I mean, Mr. Speaker, is that we must take the responsibility as the Senate, which is the body that is mandated to make sure that we oversight and make sure that the resources that are raised from our people are used well, are used effectively, are used openly without any corruption, are used without wastage, and we must make sure that this is the message we send to the governors and also indeed to the national government, because the two governments, as we are observing, seem to be having many of these issues. You hear everybody talking about wastage, wastage, wastage. I think just the way I saw President Ruto talking about, why are we having cabinet ministers traveling to Seychelles? You find 17 people are in a flight going to the Seychelles. They don't even know that Seychelles is one of the largest countries that produces sugar in Africa. They just go and stay on holiday for 2 weeks and come back and get paid the per diem, which we all get paid, and assume life is normal. You have county governments. I am actually shocked that Kisii County, Mr. Speaker, is one of the governments where the governor has just taken about 40 members of the county assembly to China on holiday, and they're using public money. Can you imagine, Mr. Chair, my speaker, can you imagine what 40 individuals will consume when they travel abroad? I can tell you it's not less than 2 million. 2 million times 40 individuals is 80 million. And yet Kisii Level 6 hospital doesn't have medicines. Kisii Level 6 hospital and other peripheral health centers don't have even nurses in numbers. Can you imagine, Honorable Dr. Halwale, what 100 million can do in a year in terms of providing the community healthcare workers who are paid 5,000 shillings a month, and there are 1,000 in Kisii. If you multiply times the amount of money that we are using to take a trip to China, and I don't want to say that Kisii is particularly a unique case. This is what all the county governments are doing. They say they are going to benchmark about growing something. They are going to benchmark about construction of roads. Our roads, we have the blueprints, Honorable Halwale, all the blueprints and the Ministry of Public Works. If you want to do a road in West Pokot and you want the BQ, it's there. All you have to factor in is the factor of inflation, and you'll know what the figures are. But members of the county assembly, and indeed, this house suffers from that disease. That is why I am so happy that President William Ruto has said, cabinet secretaries, you travel with only 3 people. All the members of the National Assembly take only 2 trips, 3 trips, and those are enough. Let us try and save our people the pain, the anger, and the annoyance where these people who make sure we get elected every 5 years, these people who are being taxed heavily because we are trying to catch up with the past mistakes of misuse and abuse of public funds. I want to plead with my colleagues that let us be careful and let us understand that our people expect better from us. That our people want us to make sure that our counties are run properly, the resources are utilized well, services are provided on time, so that our country can move forward, because this is what we want for our country. Mr. Speaker, when you look at the audit reports, because I sit in the budget committee, as you saw, it has been announced by the government, the KK government, the pending bills are about 560 billion. Honorable members of this Senate, I would like to plead with you. Let us make sure we look for a structured way on how we can sit down and come up with a proposal on how we are going to make sure that the pending bills issue is sorted out once and for all. And one of the suggestions I would like to make is that I saw my dear Vice Chair, Madam Mathabita, raise the issue. Why are county governments and national government departments agreeing to go to tender for jobs when they know very well that the jobs they're tendering for don't have the resources to complete the construction or the implementation of these projects? Let us be prudent with ourselves. Let us spend what we have. If we know we have got 3 trillion, let us put all our eggs in that 3 trillion. Let us agree that we can't continue spending money that we don't have. And that is the reason why it is attractive to borrow, it is attractive to beat our borrowing ceilings, it is attractive to spend the money. Why? Because we in this House, National Assembly and the Senate, go out and agree that certain projects are going to be done. And we know very well, Mr. Speaker, we have no money to do these projects. So, by default, we then go and deliberately borrow. When we borrow, instead of bringing this money to come and do these projects, we then divert the money from the projects which were supposed to have been completed 8 years ago. And now we create new projects because we have an interest in them, because we have been elected into these positions. And this is why you find, Honorable Halwale, that county government executive officers who are the governors don't want to pay pending bills which were incurred by their previous governors. We must, in this House, talk to the governors and tell them, if there was an arrangement where people worked and you can confirm somebody has worked and he can produce a certificate, the Auditor General has confirmed it, EACC has confirmed it, you talk, the Controller of Budget confirmed it, why are you as a governor refusing to pay these individuals who worked? Mr. Speaker, I have a man that I would like to be presented into the committee, this committee, budget committee, in the next 2 weeks, when Kisii County government is being summoned to appear. The man is in civil jail. His wife died. The man is in civil jail in Kisii prison. His wife died. Why? Because the man had borrowed 7 billion shillings 8 years ago, and he lost the money because the tender was for 16 million. The man is committed to civil jail, and the county government has refused to pay him. So how do you expect me as the Senator of Kisii County to look at it? It is an injustice, it is unfair. Yes, we know there were cartels that came out and they did projects, which some of them were ghost projects, but they're genuine Kenyans who have done works. They can produce certificates from same officers in the county government saying you completed your work. Please come and collect your check. And the money was paid to somebody else. So I'm making a request that this House must come with a solution on how we are going to solve the problem of the pending bills. I'm also very proud of this committee because even when you look at CPAC, Honorable Halwale and my senator friends who are here, even when you look at all the other audit reports that we have from the Auditor General, we are now 2 years away from actually breaking even. I believe that by 2024, we would have been able to audit all the reports which were being presented from the county governments, which means we will not be morticians anymore, my colleagues. We will now be able to audit, to oversight state and county resources on a yearly basis because we would have gotten the reports on our tables. And that is the way you introduce prudency, and that is the way you introduce proper management of public resources. Finally, I would like to say, Mr. Speaker, that the other issue that my colleagues have mentioned, and we went through it, Nairobi was a case. We looked at Depending, we looked at the on-source revenue collections. By the time Honorable Sakaja came to become the governor of Nairobi, Nairobi was collecting close to 1.6 billion shillings a month. And this is why I wanted to mention to my brother, Honorable Halwale, that sometimes, you know, I respect you tremendously, but sometimes when you make an allegation, verify your facts. Nairobi City County, for the last 1 year, Honorable Sakaja's revenues have been declining for the last 9 months. And that is not his problem. We discovered within the structure that was set up, you have 3 to 4 companies that are running the outfit of collecting revenue and revenue streams within Nairobi County government. At the same time, the same people that Sonko used to have, and the same people that Kidero used to have, they are also collecting this revenue. So we are so happy that Sakaja came in and he stopped what was going on. And I'm very proud. Last week when he met our committee, he actually said that the revenue has now picked up. Nairobi might end up collecting close to 26 billion shillings this year alone. That is the management we want. Those are the leaders we want. Our people do not want excuses why we are at 3 trillion shillings budget, and yet we have no medicines in the hospital, we have no water in the hospitals, doctors are not being paid on time, we have ECD teachers who can't be paid, we have medical practitioners, community health workers are not being paid, technical vocational training teachers are not being paid. We must be the people who can come up with deliberate decisions on how we are going to change the direction of our country. And I hope, Honorable Halwale, because you belong to KK, I hope that KK will surprise me by coming up with a proper, structured way on how we are going to make sure that the nonsense that has been going on in our country, where leadership has always taken the Kenyan population for granted with the assumption that whatever they take is not going to be questioned. Right now, Kenyans have reached a stage, Mr. Speaker, to make sure, and Kenyans are demanding that we need good governance, we want proper utilization of resources, and we want to change the direction our people are taking. We want to lift our people from poverty. It has been done in other countries, and we can do it in Kenya too, Mr. Speaker. With those very few remarks, I say I support the motion. Thank you.
Honorable Onyonga, I wanted to remind you shortly before you ended your address that you were meant to address the chair and not Honorable Senator Bullfighter. You missed that particular requirement.
I apologize, Mr. Speaker, and I will follow the rules of the House. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very well, Senator Boni, what's your point of information?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Because this is a House of Record, I've just consulted very quickly, and actually the revenue collection for Nairobi did not decline. It increased by 16.4% for the period January to March 2023. They collected a total of 3.44 billion. So I'm still right that the Kenya Kwanza were collecting, and allow me to table the information I'm reading.
Mr. Speaker, I'll agree with you. The only thing is that by that time, by March, when that money was being collected, it was being collected by Nairobi Metropolitan Services. From the time when Sakaja took over, actually there was a dip, which really worried us at the committee, and I'm willing to table the data in the next meeting that we have in this House.
Mr. Speaker, thanks for the indulgence. I'm referring to January 2023. The person in office was Sakaja. Or am I lost?
Senator Halwale, that's fine, and as well as Senator Onyonka.
It's healthy, it's healthy.
I'll correct Honorable Halwale. The person who was, the people who were handling the accounts for the on-source revenue collections were Nairobi Metropolitan. Up to now, we still don't have the PIN and the codes which are meant to open. That is what Governor Sakaja came to ask our committee to do, to ask the people who have been working with the Nairobi Metropolitan Services, who are now working at State House, to come and make sure that they are able to open the system so that Sakaja can now start collecting his revenue and putting it in a certain. Thank you.
That was quite healthy. I mean, it's important to also get the facts because this is the essence of the debate that we are having. Senator Mwenda Gataya.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'm happy that my brother Senator Nyonka has adequately advised Senator Alwale because there is a serious disturbance in Seto as we talk because of some disconnect between the previous administration and the current one. But over and above that, Honorable Speaker, I'm happy for the Committee on Finance because they have been up to the task to make sure that as a House, we have done what is supposed to be done because our core responsibility, Honorable Speaker, is make sure that we have monies in the counties. And I'm happy, Honorable Speaker, for the first time since inception of devolution, we have seen counties get money. I can make a reference to the fact that as we close the last financial year, Honorable Speaker, the national government closed that financial year with zero balance to all our counties across the board. I think this is a very big plus, and allow me, Honorable Speaker, to go on record to thank the current administration for leading to the true spirit of devolution by dispatching all the monies to the counties, because under this arrangement, Honorable Speaker, we are now going to see that our people get services across the board. We are going to see contractors paid. We are going to see revival of stone projects. We are going to see many salaries paid because we have had a lot of issues with salaries, Honorable Speaker, as you can remember, because we have had very many departments which have gone for months without salaries. So under this arrangement, Honorable Speaker, away from these governors getting money, I would want to call upon all the oversight committees, including the CPAC where I sit, including the SPIC, which is shared by my brother, Senator Ososi, to make sure that we play our key role of make sure that we put the governors on toes so that these people can make prudent use of the resources that we devolve to them. We have a lot of issues, Honorable Speaker, where people have taken counties as their personal property. So in this arrangement, Honorable Speaker, as a Senate, we are supposed to be so vigilant because in quite a number of issues, Honorable Speaker, you find that money has been used 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, and we are not even able to make some follow-up. Under this arrangement, Honorable Speaker, I really want to concur with what my brother Senator Nyonga has said, because in quite a number of times, as oversight committees will be treated as morticians, we just come to do post-mortem for money which has been stolen decades back. I think we have to make some review and make sure that we revise some regulations or standing orders to see that we are up to the task to find out how we can make sure that we put these governors and other users of money into prudent use. Honorable Speaker, if we continue with this kind of a motive, because now with this kind of administration, we are going to realize full potential of our counties by making sure that we get monies devolved throughout counties without delay. And I'm sure there's something very positive that we are supposed now to make sure that we put these governors on notice, that we are not going to allow any misuse and any prudent use of money. That is, we are likely to see it through our oversight committees. I support Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Mwenda Gataya. Senator Muma, Catherine.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me to contribute to this, this motion. Mr. Speaker, I wish to commend the committee for preparing the report, and I wish to urge us as the Senate to quickly pass this schedule so that the monies can be disbursed to the individual counties. Mr. Speaker, I'll be very quick with this. I have listened to contributions that have been made, and I thought I should bring it to our attention the need first to congratulate government for electing to disburse all the money. Mr. Speaker, the counties in the last few months have actually gone through hell. They have not been receiving the monies they should receive on time. So this is a sign of good gesture that I believe should trigger better activity and the functions of the county governments. And I would hope, Mr. Speaker, that this will be the trend going forward. It is not just a one-off that is happening. With that having happened, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to remind us as the Senate of our responsibility to protect counties and county governments. Listening to Senator Alwade, he seemed to talk about the individual senators going back and being able to speak to the amounts that have come and carrying out oversight. That is in order for elected senators, even as you go back. But I also want to remind you that the oversight function in the Senate is a collective function, best carried out through the committees. Mr. Speaker, the committees that I've sat on have had to cut down their activities because of the kind of budget we've had. If we are to follow up in the manner that colleagues are suggesting, that we oversight the activities of the counties, Mr. Speaker, I hope we are moving to a level where it will be taken seriously that the funds this Senate requires to carry out its oversight functions have to be adequate in order for us to do that task. Mr. Speaker, and I would hope that the counties can start mainstreaming the implementation of activities that will also bring on board issues of inclusion. Earlier today, we were discussing the issues of some of the issues about marginalized areas. There are issues of gender inclusion, disability, youth inclusion. Mr. Speaker, as those of us who represent interest groups that are marginalized in this country, we will also be looking out to oversight counties on how well they are carrying out development in an inclusive manner, employment in an inclusive manner, and ensuring that everyone is catered for. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to caution the idea of saying the Kenya Kwanza versus the Azimio governors. I'd like to remind us that county governors are county executives who we are supposed to oversight as a Senate. We are supposed to oversight them as a Senate.
Senator Cherargei, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, I raise past one to standing order number 41 that says if any time in the course of proceedings of the Senate, a senator objects that there is no quorum present, the Speaker or the chairperson shall count the senators present in the Senate or the committee as the case may be. So, Mr. Speaker, I raise past one to standing order number 41 to request you that to confirm if there is sufficient quorum on the floor of the House. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sergeant at Arms, could you please ring the quorum bell for 5 minutes? Senator Cherargei, very well noted. We've confirmed, of course, that there are only 5 members in the House. That is why we are asking that the quorum bell be rung for 5 minutes. 10 minutes, sorry, not 5, 10 minutes, sorry. Honorable Senators, Senator Catherine Muma still has got additional 15 minutes for her contributions tomorrow. Having failed to attain quorum at the expiry of 10 minutes, the House stands adjourned pursuant to Standing Order 41 2A until tomorrow, Thursday, 3rd of August 2023 at 2:30 p.m.